With Salvatore Testa's death, the mob moved in to split up the spoils. Wayne Grande got 25% of Salvi's business. Del Giorno and Inarella were named acting capos, and eventually became capos. Tori Scafidi got a $500 a week job, making numbers pickups. And Charlie White and Caramandi, proposed members since the Pat's Burrito murder in '83, were formally initiated into Cosa Nostra. The initiation took place on a Sunday afternoon, about a month after the Testa murder. It was a formal ceremony, an unholy rite of passage. For Caramandi, it was also a confirmation. He was now more than just a street hustler and con man with connections. The kid who used to hang on the South Philadelphia street corner, admiring the wise guys, was now one of them. He had the badge, the button. Four years later, after he had become a government witness and shattered omerta, the Mafia's time-honored code of silence, Caramandi still seemed to display a sense of pride at having once been a member. Now, remember, you don't choose to join the mob. The mob chooses you. Out of all the fucking millions of people in Jersey and Philly, there were only 60 of us. It's something you can't choose. You can't join. You gotta be chosen. Being a mobster, man, being a fucking mobster is like the greatest thing any human could experience. The flavor is so fucking good. The high is so natural. When you sneeze, man, 15 fucking handkerchiefs come out. Everywhere you go. People just can't do enough for you. At Christmas, people are banging on your door, dropping off gifts. If it rains, 25 fucking umbrellas open up. You walk into a restaurant, they'll chase a motherfucker out of the best table and put you there. There's so much glamour, you know, and respect, and fucking money. The nightclubs, fucking forget about it. The broads, these fucking broads just die over you. It's unbelievable. In the mob, you've got friends. You belong to an army. Something that is so fucking powerful. You're with the elite. Your word is fucking law. You're like the judge and the fucking jury. anything you say is final. You feel that you're so fucking superior, that you've been chosen. I had 100 to 150 guys with me. Bookmakers, loan sharks, drug dealers, union guys, politicians, doctors. There was nothing we couldn't penetrate. We had the sports betting business, the numbers, loan sharking, the shakedown business, union kickbacks. But it really wasn't me. It was the wall around me that was so powerful. Once they were formally initiated into the organization, Caramandi and Ianich effectively took control of the corner at Kamak and Moore. It was their neighborhood, their clubhouse. They were the kings of Passyunk Avenue. Most mornings, I'd get up around 7 and meet Charlie. We'd drive down to the lakes, a park in South Philly where we'd jog 2 or 3 miles. Then we'd head back to Charlie's house for coffee. Then I'd go home, shower, and shave. By 10 a.m., me and Charlie were back on the corner in front of the clubhouse at Kamak and Moore, ready to start the day. It was a good spot. In the front was a coffee machine, and in back were a couple of card tables. We'd hang out there. Guys from the neighborhood, they'd come around. We even had a guy who used to take care of the place. People would come by, drop off the street tax in the morning. Then in the afternoons, I might go out, take care of some business. Caramandi liked the routine of the corner, and he liked the feel of the neighborhood. People loved us there because we treated them right. We kept the neighborhood safe. We were there for them when a little street justice was needed. Fucking feds ain't nobody's best friend. See, some of these guys, like Tommy and Fafi, they thought they were gangsters. But they didn't really understand this thing. Scarfo had surrounded himself with a bunch of young kids. Joey and Wayne Grande, Gino and Nick Milano, Salvatore Scafidi, Frank and Philip Narducci, and Joey and Anthony Punchatori were all made or proposed at about the same time as Caramandi. All of them were under the age of 30. This was almost unheard of. In Bruno's day, they would have had to spend another 10 years on the street as associates before they'd be even considered for membership. And then only 1 in 10 might get the button. They lacked experience and maturity. They didn't know how things were done. Not necessarily mob things, just street things. Caramandi had been on the hustle for 30 years, and it showed. He knew the importance of planning. He was patient. He was cautious. and his brains weren't in his pants. Some of these younger guys were Passyunk Avenue Romeos. They were more interested in chasing broads than stalking Harry Cabini. They were at home in the trendy nightclubs on South Street or at the casinos in AC. They'd kill time hanging out in neighborhood bars, dressed in designer sports shirts, $80 slacks, polished $200 Italian loafers. You'd find them drinking a beer, watching a ball game on the big screen TVs, preening in front of a mirror, while Frank Sinatra's New York, New York played on the jukebox. Then Scarfo or Testa or Leonetti would hand them a gun, tell them to go out and shoot somebody, and they'd be on their way. They thought that's all there was to being a fucking mobster. Caramandi knew better. All my life I've known made guys. But until I got made, I never knew what the fuck they were. Then you learn what life is all about, what people are all about, who you can trust, who you fucking can't, what fortunes you can make, and what doors open for you. You become like a fucking god. Your whole life changes. You have powers that are limitless. You got a fucking secret army behind you. But not too many guys can handle all this. Some people, it goes to their fucking head. The people you could be around, you know, the people who acknowledge you from all walks of life. Movie stars, they love being around fucking made guys. That's fucking power. Some people use it wisely. Some people don't. For one thing, you ain't a regular guy no more. You just can't walk up into a bar and get drunk with a bunch of guys and kid the fuck around. You gotta watch yourself. You gotta keep your composure all the fucking time. There's a certain makeup you gotta develop. You put this fucking suit of armor on. Sometimes you think you're fucking bulletproof. For Caramandi, being mafioso was a career achievement. It was his PhD, his listing in the Blue Book. Being a member of the mob gave him status, clout, a chance to be somebody. Look, I grew up on the streets. I didn't go to no college. I wasn't born with no silver spoon in my fucking mouth. What did I have? So he robbed, and he stole, and he cheated, and eventually he killed. But this was simply the way things were. His victims were crooks too. I'll tell you this. You can't cheat an honest man. The suckers, the victims he stung, were greedy people looking to get over on either their competitors in business or the taxman. Caramandi operated in this netherworld where there were no rules, where cheating, lying, and stealing were accepted, even expected. He figured the people he dealt with knew this as well as he did. He applied the same logic to murder. He didn't kill any innocent people. His victims were mobsters or mob associates. They knew what the life was. They had crossed over that line, the same way he had. They understood just what Caramandi meant when discussing the wanton and ruthless killing during the Riccabini War. He had said, "These were crazy things, but they had to be done." Following the Salvi Testa murder, Caramandi had few other occasions when he would even have to consider using the gun. He and Charlie White were now settled at the clubhouse on Kamak and Moore. They were reporting to Fafi and Tommy, and as mobsters, they were the perfect complement for one another. Each liked the traditional mob gambits, loan sharking, gambling, and bookmaking. Caramandi was an expert on scams, labor racketeering, and the construction business. Together, they became the Scarfo family's most consistent money-making machine. From 1984 through 1986, they were in the middle of semi-legitimate and illegitimate business propositions that brought the organization close to $5 million. The money just kept rolling in, and each month they would whack it up. Caramandi and Charlie White would keep half of what they made. The other half was set aside for the elbow. They'd keep a record of what was coming in. Each month, they'd send cash down the shore to Nicky Scarfo. Caramandi, by this time, had reached out into the construction industry in Philadelphia, helping local developers get contracts, arranging to rake bids when he could, and taking care of any union problems. In exchange, he'd get a kickback or a cut from the business. If the deal was big enough, he'd spread the work around, often arranging cement or concrete work for companies controlled by Lawrence Merlino or Phil Leonetti. The killing and the fucking treachery. Everybody's jealous of something in this thing. There's no fucking security, you know? You're never safe. You learn to read eyes. And you gotta be a good manipulator. You gotta meet somebody. You don't even know if you're gonna come back. You get in a car and you don't know if you're gonna get a fucking bullet in your brain. On top of that, the capos are always trying to trap you, thinking maybe you got more money that you ain't kicking in. but I used to keep records. Slips of paper. Weeklies. Monthlies. Stacks of them. 3, 4, 5 years. I turned in every fucking dime. Deciding that he'd had enough of Atlantic City and South Philadelphia for a while, Scarfo took a long vacation to South Florida in the winter of 1985 to relax, clear his head. Philip Leonetti and Lawrence Merlino would join him on the excursion, much like they did following their acquittal for the Falcone murder in 1980. Me, my uncle, and Lawrence went down to Florida for almost 3 weeks. It was nice. We sat on the beach all day and ate at the best restaurants at night. We were staying at a condominium in Turnberry, which was a little ways from Miami. I loved these vacations. I needed them. We all did. While we were there, I said to my uncle, it might be a good idea. Get a spot down here. A place for the family. My uncle loved the idea and told me and Lawrence to start looking at houses. We found a place in Fort Lauderdale that was owned by a guy from Philadelphia who was a real estate developer. It was a gorgeous, sprawling hacienda-style home, right on the water. My uncle, he loved it. He had me pay the guy $650K in cash, and we bought the place. We named it Casablanca South, and we even had a little sign made up that said that. We put it in front of the house. The place was gorgeous. It had a pool, a boat slip, the whole fucking 9 yards. Scarfo's Florida shopping spree wasn't done. We bought a white Rolls Royce Silver Shadow that we drove whenever we were there. We brought our boat down from Atlantic City, which was a 40-footer, and we docked it right behind the house. When we were down in Florida, we were relaxing every day. The pool, the beach, the fucking boat. We'd go out drinking, go out to dinner. Life was great when we were down there. Even my uncle was relaxed. It's almost like I forget how bad things really were when I was down there. I guess I blocked it all out. I think my uncle was using Florida to bring everyone together and keep everyone together, strengthen our family.
The Gambino squad's first major breakthrough came from the testimony of a high-level defector to whom Gotti had admitted his role in the murder of Paul Castellano. Today, he is one of those whom Gotti blames for his downfall.
He feels that I'm the cause of all his problems. I went to a grand jury and I told them everything I knew about John and the meetings we had, about him saying he killed Paul Castellano, about him saying he got the okay from the commission. And I would testify about the family, him being the boss, the structure of his family, the things, the favors that my uncle asked of him, some bookmaking involvement, the Gambino problems, and everything that our meetings were about.
Philip Leonetti was the underboss to his uncle, Nicky Scarfo.
Hey, Nicky!
Together they ran the Bruner family based in Philadelphia. Their high rank made them privy to the Mafia's innermost secrets, and they were allied to the most powerful families in New York.
He has the backing, not only of the commission, but he's very friendly with the guys in New York. I mean, we had the backing of the Genovese family, and other families too. The Gambino family owed us a favor because we did kill somebody for them. We were very friendly. He was very powerful. They all liked him because he was a killer. A lot of guys liked that, and he wanted to kill more and more people to impress the guys in New York.
Nick Scarfo and his nephew Philip Leonetti were a fearsome combination. Operating in Philadelphia and Atlantic City, they ruled with a reign of terror.
Our strength was, people feared us because my uncle was he was a stone killer. Everybody knew when they seen one of us. There was no problem with giving up any money. Guys that were in illegal businesses that we shook down, they would give it up, no problem at all. We even had guys coming around to hang out saying, look, I'm going into this business here. I'm going to pay you now for, every week for whatever I make. They were even coming themselves. We didn't even have to go looking for them. They were scared. Everybody was scared to death of my uncle because he had a reputation for killing, because he loved to kill people.
You actually enjoyed it?
Yes.
Scarfo wouldn't hesitate to shoot somebody in a split second. He was a true gangster. He was another Al Capone. I mean, very, very vicious. Feared no one. And this thing came first with him. He believed in this mafia with all his heart and soul.
He always wanted the reputation. He always said, like Paul Muni said in the movie Scarface, he had a machine gun. He says, you got to use this machine gun. You got to kill people and you got to keep on killing them to be the boss. You just can't stop. You got to keep killing.
You got a hit list of 15, 20 guys to shoot on sight. And night and day, we used to go hunt them down. We had teams.
One of their targets was a diminutive mafioso, Harry the Hunchback Riccobini.
Continue to stand, raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you will give before this subcommittee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
The Hunchback and his crew fell out when they refused to pay a greater share of their illegal profits to Scarfo.
Identify himself.
I participated in maybe 15, 20 murders at the time. In that course of time. And after that course of time, from like 82 to 86, when I became a government informer.
Nicky Scarfo and his nephew Philip Leonetti were not just killers. They and the family they controlled derived tremendous power and wealth from their business operations and the rackets they ran, both in Philadelphia and Atlantic City.
How influential and powerful were Nicky Scarfo and Philip Leonetti in Atlantic City?
Very, very powerful. No major construction project was done without their knowledge. No illegal activities such as loan sharking. Not so much drug activity. They weren't as heavily involved in drug activity, but loan sharking, gambling, prostitution, they had pieces of all that type of operation.
Well, we had a lot of bars that were under our control. We had businesses in the casinos, maintenance companies, where we were making money. We were making money with Local 54, which was one of the most powerful unions in Atlantic City. We had all the unions tied up in Atlantic City. Teamsters, carpenters, cement, everything.
In the early 1980s, control of Local 54, the union that supplied the workers in the casinos, gave the Mafia a stranglehold in Atlantic City.
There are 40,000 people who work here in the casinos, and the Local 54, the bartenders union, has about 14,000 of those people that are members of the union. They have a health and welfare fund, they have a pension fund, they have a severance fund. Scarfo was then able to, by controlling the bartenders union and controlling the officers of the union, he was then able to have them appoint to office people who were members of organized crime. He was able to have them hire companies that were controlled by organized crime or paying kickbacks and bribes to organized crime to provide services to them.
Well, Frank Gerace, the president of Local 54, he dealt with the casinos, with the owners. He dealt with the contracts. One time, in 1983, he was having a problem with the Playboy. And they didn't want to sign a union contract. They tried to break the union. So I sent somebody to see the owner that I know and told him, if you don't sign it, we're going to kill him. And he signed it.
That was our territory. If any other family wanted to come down here and do something, they had to get permission from Scarfo. But mainly, Atlantic City was ours. We could do whatever we want down there.
We could have stopped everything. We could have shut them down, you know? But if this didn't work, you know, we would try another way, but...
And you had this sort of influence over all the casinos?
Yeah, every casino that dealt with the union, which was all of them, they all had to be unionized. And Frank Gerace made money with them all.
And they knew if they didn't do what you wanted, you could just close them down?
We sure could. That's right.
Leonetti and Scarfo also controlled the local politicians. In the early 80s, they fixed the elections for the mayor of Atlantic City, Mike Matthews.
Mike Matthews was with us. We got all the unions to support Mike Matthews. We had everybody going for him. You know, the casinos, everybody. And he won. And I had this agreement with Mike that if he won, he had to make Joe DePasquale the chief of police, which he would listen to whatever we said anyway, because he was with us. We made him mayor. He couldn't have done it by himself.
You're going to see a lot of new construction and completed construction. I think you'll see another 3 or 4 casinos in town, and I'm very optimistic about the next 4 years.
He was under the protection of our family. He would listen to whatever our family told him to do. He had to do.
And if he didn't?
He would get killed.
Did he know that?
Yes.
And what about the chief of police? What influence do you have over him?
Whatever we needed with him, he would do with us. I was friendly with him.
The main advantage of their political control was the influence it gave them over land development deals. The casino boom had fueled massive speculation in property prices in Atlantic City.
There was a casino project that was proposed over in the inlet section of the city, and the project needed some city-owned land in order for the project to put together a parcel of ground that was big enough for this project. And it was necessary for them to get the city to sell them the land. And Leonetti had a partial interest in this, and in exchange for an agreement with the mayor of the city that they would turn this land over to them or sell it to this particular group, they agreed to offer the mayor either cash or a percentage interest in the company itself. And unfortunately for the mayor, one of the people that they were dealing with was an undercover DEA agent, and they didn't know that, and the mayor accepted money from them, and he went to jail.
But they bought the mayor of Atlantic City.
Yes, they bought the mayor of Atlantic City.
They also bought a white Rolls-Royce and a luxury hideaway in Florida where they flaunted their wealth. But unknown to them, they were secretly accompanied by FBI agents who were beginning to build up a powerful case against the entire family in the mid-1980s.
Well, that's our family. They're the guys that belong to our family, and we would go down there on vacation. My uncle bought a nice house down there, and a nice boat. And we had the boat docked behind the house, and he would invite everybody down, and we would enjoy ourselves down there. It was like relaxation time.
Pretty unusual to have an entire Mafia family on a boat.
Yeah, I know. That's how the jury's seen it too. I mean, it really buried us, all them pictures of everybody together. It really showed that we were a family, you know, all together like that.
A year after the death of its street boss, Salvatore Testa, the Scarfo mob was still trying to reorganize, to fill the void that came with losing someone of Testa's caliber. When Salvi died, a lot of things changed. For starters, he was one of our top guys, and you can't replace a guy like that with a guy like Tommy Dell, who was now one of the guys running the day-to-day operations in South Philly, which is what Salvi did when he was alive. My uncle also broke up Salvi's crew, which is one of the other reasons he wanted to kill Salvi. He didn't like all of them young guys together. Me and Lawrence were the only capos on the street at that time. But we were both based in Atlantic City. But as time went by, Lawrence was around less and was doing more with his rebar company, Nat Nat, and was starting to really build the business and make good money. This bothered my uncle when Lawrence wasn't around as much, and he'd say, "Where's Lawrence? Where's he been?" And I would tell him that Nat Nat just got a new job or something. And my uncle, he'd make comments like, "Now he don't want to hang around us? Is that it? What? You think he's too good for us? Or what, he wants to go legit? That it?" The truth is, I think Lawrence had gotten sick of being around my uncle and Cosa Nostra, and he was trying to do his own thing, trying to break away a little bit. At that time, Chucky was still underboss, but he had that 4-year jail sentence hanging over his head, and he started drinking very heavily around this time. Chucky always drank ever since I can remember, but now, in the fall of '85, he was drunk all the fucking time. And not just drunk, I mean, I can't stand the fuck up drunk. One night, my uncle and I go to dinner at Angeloni's, and he asks me what my thoughts are regarding Chucky and Lawrence. I'm sitting there, thinking, here we go the fuck again. Now this sick fuck wants to kill the two guys we were closest to, Chucky and Lawrence. I mean, Christ all fucking mighty. Shit. We just killed Salvi. So why the fuck not, right? Let's just kill everybody. Who gives a fuck? I couldn't believe what the fuck I was hearing. This guy had lost his fucking mind. This was not the Cosa Nostra that I had sworn an oath to, that I had fucking killed for, that I dedicated my life to. What the fuck? So, I looked my uncle square in the eye, and I said to him, Uncle Nick, Chucky and Lawrence have been with us since the beginning. They have always been loyal. We've got nothing to worry about with either one of them. They are both solid. When I'm saying this to him, he could tell by looking into my eyes and the way that I was talking, how serious I was. I think my uncle was surprised that I voiced my opinion that way. To be honest, I fucking had to. Enough was fucking enough. I couldn't take another killing like Salvi's. As close as we had been to Salvi, we were even closer with Chucky and Lawrence. Don't forget, my uncle had wanted me to kill the Blade. These were our top guys who had been with us since the beginning. Me and Lawrence were together almost every fucking day. And my uncle and Chucky had been like brothers for almost 40 years. My uncle and the Blade went back even further. Right away, my uncle backs off. But I could tell he was steamed that I wasn't yesing him to death, like I always did. At that very moment, I made a promise to myself. If my uncle brought this up again and started to move forward with any plans to kill Chucky or Lawrence, not only was I gonna step in and stop it, like I wish I had done with Salvi, and I had done with the Blade, but I was gonna do something that me or someone else should have done a long time ago. I was gonna kill my uncle.